Hello, welcome to this Recipes Atari Stuff video. Towards the end of the 80s, Atari likely realized they were losing the battle for the personal computer market. So they started looking for new markets in case they had to phase out the Atari ST computer line. That's probably why Atari partnered with many small companies that came up with plans for a wide variety of computer systems. That's how this Atari portfolio came about, for example. The company Perelion also approached Atari with a plan to build a Transputer Workstation. This resulted in the ATW800 Atari Transputer Workstation. Not many were built, but it has acquired a certain mystery over the years. So much so that someone has now recreated the ATW800, but this time small enough to fit into an Atari ST computer. And I have one here. In this video we're going to install this in my Atari Mega ST. The Atari Transputer Workstation could contain multiple processor boards, making the system each time faster. All those processors required a host system to control them. For this purpose, a modified Atari ST was installed in the ATW800. The transputer system didn't have any input-output functions like a keyboard or a mouse, but these were provided by the built-in Atari ST. The transputer did have its own graphics card, and a very good one for that time. In the system that is now built, the Atari ST once again serves as the host, and here too the transputer can use the Atari ST's hardware. But this time the ST can also use the transputer system's hardware, including the high-resolution graphics cards. And that's what we will focus on in this part 1 video about the ATW800 II. But of course we'll start with the unboxing of the ATW800 II. The top is securely sealed, so I'll start at the bottom. Look, so this is actually at the bottom of the box. And this is the manual. And then comes the computer card itself. Let's start by looking at the card. It looks very professional. And at the bottom, with the connection for the Mega bus of the Atari Mega ST, and space for a battery for the ST's clock. And here are 2 slots for additional Transputer CPU boards. And this is glued to the manual. There's a backplate for the back of the case. Then the manual. It looks great. There's a separate sheet included. Okay, these are additions for the new model of the card. I ordered the card in a second batch, and some major improvements were made then. There's a lot of information in it. I should read it carefully before I start installing the card. But then I'm actually missing the floppy disk. I've seen with others that it was included. Maybe they forgot to add it in my shipment. But before we continue with the card, first a little bit of history about the Atari Transputer Workstation. In the later half of the 80s, a group of people believed that the ever-fasting speed of processors would soon come to an end. This was because the ability to make transistors smaller and smaller was coming to an end, meaning you could not keep adding more to the CPU. Therefore, they saw a greater future in the parallel processing with multiple CPUs. For this purpose, the company Inmos developed special processors called transputers. During this period, the company Perelion was formed in the UK. They focused on developing a parallel processing operating system called Helios. For this system, they also developed a workstation based on the InMOS transputers. Several Peruvian employees had previously worked with Atari, for example on the development of ST Basic. As a result, they approached Atari to further develop the system together. This ultimately became the Atari ATW800 Transputer Workstation. The system itself contained one transputer and 4 slots for farm cards, each containing 4 transputers. This meant it could accommodate a total of 17 transputers. The system also included a Blossom video system for high-resolution graphics. Each transputer essentially waited until it was assigned a task. This task assignment was handled by an Atari ST. The first prototypes for the workstation was an extension card for the internal bus of an Atari Mega ST. Later it became a standalone system with a built-in modified Atari Mega ST. This Atari ST also provided the input and output for the transputers. Ultimately around 350 systems were built. This makes this Atari system quite rare. They are therefore difficult to find these days. That's why a group in Germany came up with the idea of building one themselves, based on FPGA. This time as an expansion card for the Atari Mega ST bus. They had several goals, including plug-and-play installation and affordability. They also wanted to fix something they felt was wrong with the original ATW800. The ST should also be able to use the ATW's hardware, including the Blossom video system. The card can therefore also be used as a high-resolution video card for the Atari ST. And several extras were added, such as a ROM switcher and an IDE interface with a micro SD card reader. Later the card was also made compatible with the VME bus of the Atari Mega ST and Atari TT. However, due to limitation of the VME bus, not all extras, such as the ROM switcher, can be used. Let's take a closer look at the transputer card. Here we see the Megabus connection for the Atari Mega ST. Same PCB is also used for the VME version, but then there's here connection mounted. The Megabus version has also an extra connection for power. Then we have here the FPGA. This is a nano FPGA board, which is mounted to the ATW board with a piggyback construction. This FPGA is configured to replicate the complete ATW800, including one virtual transputer and the Blossom video card. The Blossom video system delivers the video signal via this HDMI connection. So, the FPGA delivers a virtual transputer, but another transputer board can be installed here. And here another one. This makes a total of 3 transputers, but more can be connected if you install a connector here. Another external transputer can then be connected. Now let's look at the connections. Below the HDMI port is a micro SD slot. In this slot you can insert a micro SD card, which then can be used as a hard drive. There are also 2 USB ports which can be used as pass-throughs. And here's a dip switch. With this you choose which TOS system you want to use, because on the bottom of the card are 2 EEPROMs, each with 2 TOS versions. They're placed in a socket on purpose, so you can add another TOS system if you want. The battery connection is also visible here. A cell battery can be installed here for the Atari ST's clock. This will replace the AA batteries in the Mega ST case. You can connect the existing cable here. This battery is needed if you install a transputer in card slot 2, because then you have to remove a section of the battery compartment to make room for it. And then it can't be used anymore to hold batteries. Well, what else do we have? I think that's about it. Let's install it. We'll start by installing the battery. It takes an CR2032. Luckily I still had one laying around. And click, it's in. Since the TOS system is now on the ATW card, the TOS ROMs can be removed from the motherboard. The ROM chips are located under this memory expansion. It was held in place with double-sided tape, so I had to remove that. The ROM chips are here. But before I remove them, I put a label on them. So I remember later which one was on the left and which one on the right. I might be able to install them on my 520 ST later. Because this is TOS 1.04. And in English. My 520 ST still has a German TOS 1.0. Okay, I can now remove the TOS ROMs. Well, that was easy. Then the card can go in. But I have to reroute these cables. This blank back panel can also be removed. And this was included with the card. This will be placed on the video and MIDI connectors. So the card can rest on it. Now we can finally place it in the Mecha bus. Well, it's in place. Now connect the power cable. Luckily it only fits in one way. But I did check the Mecha 1 schematic to make sure it's correct. I'll tidy it up later. And here's the cable that goes to the battery holder in the case. We can now connect this to the card. But I have to make sure it's placed correctly. Because this one fits in two ways. I'll have to make a new support for the memory expansion later. Then here's a new backplate for the back. Well, it doesn't fit very well. I'm not quite happy with this. I'm also not entirely happy with the construction of this ground cable for the memory expansion. It's supposed to go here between the two parts of the shielding. I'd rather connect it here directly to the power supply. I still have a spare ground connection there. But that would require a longer cable. Then I can run it like this. I'll do that right away. There, that's in place. Now install it in the ST. Well, that's much better this way. Now we can start testing. Everything is connected. I connected this monitor to the original video output of the ST. And this monitor is connected to the HDMI output of the card. It won't do anything until I install the drivers, but I want to power it on to see if the ST still works with this card in it. Strange image on this monitor, but at least the ST still boots. Yeah, and it starts with the ATW card's TOS system, because the two original TOS ROMs have been removed, so at least that works with the card. Now I have to install the drivers. But how do I do that? I didn't get the floppy disk with drivers with my card. So I've contacted the card supplier, and it turns out they only include the floppies with the first batch of the card. The old 3.5-inch floppies are hard to come by. And if you find them, a lot of them no longer work due to the age. He suggested it's better to download it from his public share. And that way you always have the latest version. And this is the floppy disk that used to be included. But if you only want the video driver, you can find that here. There you can choose between NVDI or XVDI drivers. I don't really know the difference yet, but I understand it's better to start with the XVDI first. And then I choose the latest version. I've downloaded it, but how do I get it on my Atari ST? Luckily I do have an GX drive, where I can read disk images from an SD card. But how do I create a disk image of the downloaded files? That's possible with the Atari ST emulator Steam. In a hard disk folder I have the two folders containing the downloaded files. That original boot disk and the floppy disk with the video drivers. Now when I start Steam, I go to the disk manager. Here I make sure that the C drive is mapped to the hard disk folder. And I create a new standard disk image. I map this disk image to drive A. And then I start the ST emulation. I open drive C and see the two folders there. I open the ATW folder. And then I open drive A. There we have the empty disk image. I copy the files from drive C to drive A. I repeat the same process with a disk image for the video drivers. Then we have two SD image files in the disk folder. I can copy these to the SD card and put that in the GX drive. I've now selected the disk image with the video drivers in my GX drive. But that is drive B. In drive A I have a floppy disk which can be overwritten. And with this program from the driver disk you can create a bootable disk with the drivers. But my drive A is quite old. And the floppy disk is just as old. I had frequent read errors, so I think writing to the floppy disk is going to be very difficult. But I'm going to try. So what's he going to do? Ah, see. He can't write. Now I have a problem. I do have a megafile hard drive, but the last time I tried it, it didn't work anymore. So I have to think of something else. Okay, I've done something else now. I removed the old floppy drive. And removed the GX drive from this drive. I temporarily connected to the Mega ST as drive A. And this contains the SD card with the driver disk image. But also an image of an empty disk. And now open it in drive A. And start the driver disk program again. I leave the target drive set to A. Then I select the image of the blank disk on the GX drive. Now it's going to create a bootable disk on that image. So, after a lot of disk swapping, it's done. If I now open drive A, we see the auto folder with the drivers. I'm going to restart the ST now, so they can be loaded. It starts with the disk screen. And I see it's loading something. Hey, the other screen is doing something too. Yes, the start screen appears. Although with a bit of strange interlacing. It's still loading. I see activity on the GEOS drive. Yes, and now? Yes, the resolution selection screen. What resolution should I start with? I'll leave it at this setting. Do I need to do anything else? Let me press enter. Yes, it continues. And it works! Oh, fantastic! And I already think this resolution is really nice. Let me give it a try. Wow, what a lot of space I have now on my desktop. And what a beautiful image. I don't have that interlacing issue here, which I had on my startup screen and the resolution selection screen. Let me try a different disk. I got it set to first word now. Let me see if that can handle this resolution. Well, it starts just fine. I'll open a file. It opens with the dimensions of the original resolution. But I can make it full screen. But then, you don't see the function keys. But that's not so bad. I'm already very happy it works. But how's the power supply holding up? Oh, it does get a bit warmer with this card. I'll have to keep an eye on that. I also want to try switching the TOS version. Until now the dip switch was set to TOS 1.004. Now I've set it to TOS 2.06. Look, an Atari logo. That's at least different. Oh yes, and memory test. For this time I'll let it run for now. I can already see here that it is set to TOS 2.06. I still have to figure out how to set it that it starts without interruption. Here it is. And the years show indeed it's TOS 2.006. But I don't remember exactly what's the difference about it. Oh yeah, the settings of the color. You can do that now from the menu. Let me try a different background color. Nice. Now I've set it to the latest EMU-TOS version. Hey, it won't boot. That white screen doesn't appear. No, it doesn't work. Ah, too bad. I'm going to set it to the second to last EMU-TOS version now. No, same thing. That's a shame. Is EMU-TOS not working on a Mega ST or something? If you happen to know what could causing this, let me know in the comment section below this video. And we've now reached the end of part 1 of this video series. In this part we covered the history of the ATW800, installed the card in the Mega ST and tested the Blossom video card and the ROM switcher. I'm very happy with that video card, but regarding to the ROM switcher, I'm a bit disappointed that the EMU-TOS is not working on my machine. And I still found it a shame that the floppy disk isn't included. I was really looking forward to unpacking a new floppy disk for the first time in many years. But for the rest, the product was very complete. And we have still a lot to discover from the cards. In the next video I finally look at the transputer parts. But first I want to see if I can get the IDE interface with the micro SD card working. Because without an hard disk installing the transputer will be more difficult. So I hope to see you again at the next video about the ATW800 too. Oh, and first click the like and subscribe button under this video. Bye!